Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So I made a script to automatically install Gen on Windows systems, and I made it so basically you don't have to hassle with going and getting dependencies and whatnot. Now I didn't do all dependencies for the script because these are pretty straightforward, but the rest of it is a little bit of a pain in the butt, so I just automated it for everyone to utilize. So I guess we can go through what the heck's Go, and pretty much Go is a language developed by Google. It's a compiled language that has a garbage collector built into it, but it's not using a virtual machine. It is itself basically magic as far as I'm concerned. It's like a combination of Python, C, and C++ like mashed together. For me, personally, it's more like Java and Lua mixed together, but more straightforward. And you can see all this stuff, what companies are using them. So Go is extremely flexible, and you can even do it directly on the internet, which is absolutely incredible. You can have a build environment on their website itself. It's just nuts. Then you can see all these why Go, all these companies using Go. But that's getting a little off track here. Gen is the main source of all of this, basically. So Gen is an OpenGL engine written in Go. It's very flexible. It's very straightforward from what I'm seeing after working directly with C++ and Java. I mean, OpenGL and Java. I hope I'm not working with C++ and Java. But you can see that there's install instructions, and then when you get to the Windows section, it's basically just like, well, have fun. So what I did was I made this dependency script for Windows, so it's as easy as the other Linux distributions and Mac OS to install it on Windows. And in fact, this basically goes a step above it, and it will run in place, or I'll show you what this means later, but it'll build in place, and then your dependency will be in place, and you'll see when I'm explaining what I mean by that. But some basic stuff with this is when you run this, well, first of all, I recommend you, when you download this, I recommend you put this folder into your documents folder so it's not in your way ever. Then secondly, after you run the script, I recommend you restart your system so PowerShell will reload the environment. And when you do this, you'll notice that sometimes the command prompt will instantly hook into it, but PowerShell won't until a system restart. And it took me a little while to figure out that exact problems, because sometimes it worked and I would run the script again and then it would work again. But basically the gist of it is once you run the script, you have to restart your computer to reload the environment. So you need Go, you need 7-zip, and you need Git, and these should be installed in the default locations. You can edit the script if they're not in default locations. It's really up to you. You can do whatever you want. That's why it's a MIT license. So you can change the server it downloads from. You can have it download HTML source code, even though that wouldn't do anything, but it's up to you. So when you run the script more than once, it will duplicate your path variables, and if you don't want that, I gave very, very verbose instructions on how to clean out your path variables that this will add in so that you don't have to do it yourself, which is kind of a pain in the butt. And then VS Code is, even when you restart your system, sometimes PowerShell and VS Code will not recognize the term GCC, which is what the CGO utilizes to build the program lightning fast. And basically, what this is explaining to you is you have to restart the PowerShell in VS Code. So if I open this up, you can see I have multiple of these open. So what I'm talking about, the trash can icon, is this. You exit that, and then you exit that. Session exited. There we go. And now just turn that off and turn it back on. And there you go. You just flip the switch. And now you have PowerShell again. For some reason on my PowerShell, there's 2 of them. And then there you go, bada bing bang boom. So when you type, basically all you have to do is type in GCC. And instead of it being in all red where it says scriptlet not found, it should just come up with the GCC error because there's no input files. And that tells you you're ready to go, basically, no pun intended. Okay, so that's basically it. I guess I could walk you guys through the script now, and this might be a little long-winded. There might be some pauses because I have to think about exactly what's happening with this, because this is a lot of scripting code to write in 3 hours because I had to learn a couple things with it. But so the current path gets to the current location, and then this will it starts with your user privileges, but you're not administrator by default when you run a script in PowerShell. So what this does is kills the initial process of PowerShell, then it restarts it as a PowerShell script with administrator privileges because it has to write some files into your path directory using the registry. And so yeah, that's pretty much the only reason it uses administrator privileges. So you have to read this, and I put this in to make sure people weren't installing this in like crazy places, like their driver folders or something. So all you have to do is type yes in all caps, and it tells you your requirements. And once you type in yes in all caps, it'll go. If you type anything else in it or just hit enter, it exits. So that's basically that. And so now what it's doing is it's checking the path. So it's checking if Go exists, like the folder C program files Go. And if it does, it is going to just move on. But if it doesn't, it'll tell you where to get Go, or it'll tell you might need to rewrite the script to go and tell it which directory it's going in. So the same thing for 7-zip and the same thing for Git. And so Git has 2 checks. It has the base or the root directory of Git, and then it'll check the bin, make sure they both exist. So the next thing it does is it is going to grab the MingW toolchain off of SourceForge, and this is a direct link to one of the servers that is serving the MingW toolchain. And so this is going to output into a 7-zip file called MingW toolchain.7zip. And then we'll unzip it. And then this is why 7-zip's required, because it does a soft alias to 7zip.exe, and then we'll unzip it to a folder called MingW-W64. So this is the part why it needs administrator privileges, because what it's doing is it's basically getting your current path variables in your user, and then it is taking the old path and adding in the new path for MingW bin folder, because that's the GCC that I typed in earlier, and that's what the CGO needs to build gen programs. So it does the same thing for the system path, and it seems a little redundant, but I did that just in case there's multi-users that want to utilize this, and yeah, that's basically it. And so let's see, this one is adding it to the actual environment right now, and this is needed to initially build it when it does this part right here, which is go install. Otherwise, it would throw GCC errors, like GCC not found. So it basically, the script tells you the whole time what it's doing and what's working and what's not working, blah, blah, blah. So this part is because if there's already the gen engine cloned into the directory, when you do a git clone, git will actually not work, and then it'll cause the script to basically stall out, like crash the script basically. So my solution is just delete the old engine and then re-git clone it. So now this is a direct thing because git gets exported to the system path, and so you can just do an invoke expression, which is like you typing this in to clone it to the gen engine directory, and then it CDs into it and then it does the go install. It puts it into your Go packages, so it's like dynamically linked basically. You can automatically import it basically. It's nice. Then this will exit out of there. And so this is the second reason why this needs administrator privileges, because it needs to add this to the system path, which is for OpenAL. So if we go to here, which is directly what this is downloading in the script that I just explained, only localized. So you go into audio, you go to Windows, and then you go to bin. You can see you have OpenAL and Vorbis and OGG DLLs, and this is so you can play sound bites and music and whatever kind of sounds you're doing, even if it's just a beat. And so that's why it does current path, and then the gen engine, which is CDs into audio Windows bin, because when you build your gen program, it will automatically pull those DLLs into the program's executable, and then it will just include them by default. It's pretty neat. And so again, I did it for the system path too, so that multiple users could utilize it. And then it's done. Basically, that's it. That's all she wrote. And at the end of this script, I highly recommend you restart your computer so you don't have to worry about the path not working if you just stay in the user. Because you have to reload the environment when you're done with it. And Windows is a bit complicated to set this up for. Well, it's pretty complicated for any kind of programming to set it up for if you're used to Linux building and Linux open source programming. But I mean, it's not that difficult once you get introduced to it and used to it, and then you practice it. Becomes pretty straightforward. So anyways, guys, that's about it. If you want to try it out, be my guest. If you run it more than once, just remove the old paths. Otherwise, it will create duplicates in your system and user paths. So that's basically it. So anyways, see you in the next one, and peace out.